31 years old, and this is my wife.
Hi, my name is Ilana, and I'm 37 years old. And I just gave birth to our baby girl almost 3 months ago. So early on in our relationship, we always knew that we wanted to eventually grow our family. And when we were ready to start family planning, we went to the fertility clinic because we are unable to try to get pregnant in the natural or traditional way. So our doctor went over the different options and advised us to do IVF. He said that for me, IUI would not work because that is when I was diagnosed with low AMH and diminished ovarian reserve. And that means that I have really poor egg quality and I don't have a lot of eggs left. And that conversation was back when I was 34. But truthfully, that conversation was really hard, but we really wanted to try using my own eggs. So we did 2 cycles trying with my own eggs and it wasn't working. So we could have kept going, but it's really expensive. It's time consuming, it's really hard, and it's emotionally exhausting. So that's when we decided to have really hard conversations about other avenues that we could go to grow our family. And we decided to move forward with reciprocal IVF. And that is where we use Kris's egg and I carry the baby.
So we got pregnant on the first reciprocal IVF cycle, the first breast transfer we did, and we were due at the end of May, right during the global pandemic. The induction was scheduled for a week later, just in case our baby girl didn't want to come out on her own, and she didn't because she was very warm and cozy. 2 days before the induction, we went for COVID testing, and luckily we both came back negative, and then I could stay with my wife in the hospital because up until that point it was an unknown and protocols were changing every day. The day before the induction, Ilana started having chest pains and shortness of breath, and we called her doctor to see what we should do, and she recommended that we go to the hospital just to get checked out, and we'd either be sent home or go from there. So I dropped Ilana off at the hospital, and they ran some tests as I waited in the car because I couldn't be with her, and they said that she had a high blood pressure, a slight fever, and she had a preeclampsia. So
apparently I developed preeclampsia while I was overdue, which was awesome news.
Yeah, which was up until that point we had a pretty healthy pregnancy. There wasn't any of those types of issues up until that point. So then she was admitted, we got into labor and delivery, and they started her on the Pitocin because she was 0 centimeters dilated.
I would also like to add that I got the epidural before anything even started because I am a complete baby when it comes to that magnitude of pain. So before they even started me on the Pitocin, I got the epidural, and I'm really glad I did because I don't think I would have been able to handle it.
So after all that, they started the Pitocin to try to get her moving along, and then they had to put her on a magnesium drip because of the preeclampsia, just to prevent any possible seizures or just try to keep everything under control. So after waiting, overnight into the next day, she was very minimally progressing. We didn't get past 3.5 centimeters, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And then towards late afternoon the next day, the doctor, they checked her again, and she had a fever, and she started getting really sick, and we thought it was from the magnesium. It was making her sick, but the fever was very concerning, so they'd opted to do a C-section, which was a terrifying experience when you didn't know what to expect at that point. But we figured for the health of the baby and mama here that we had to make the choice to have the C-section. So we ended up having the C-section. I was able to be with her the whole time, and our little baby girl was born big and healthy. And unfortunately, because Ilana did have a fever, they had to take her to the NICU just to make sure there was no other infections going on. And that was really hard because now they took our baby off right after we met her, and then we had to stay in the operating room for probably what felt like forever as they stitched Ilana back up. And because she had the preeclampsia, she had to stay on the magnesium drip another 12 hours post-delivery. So we couldn't even get to the postpartum unit yet because she had the magnesium drip. So we ended up spending the night, you know, over 12 hours in the recovery room, like behind those little curtains. And, you know, I like stole a bed to sleep on. Like there wasn't, it was
She
a
slept in her full operating room get up, shower cap, sneaker booties.
Yeah. But anyway, after a long, stressful night in the recovery room with Ilana, like very sick on this magnesium drip, we were eventually moved into the postpartum unit, which is all we ever wanted.
So the next day, I finally was able to see our baby girl. I was dying to see her. I only got to meet her for what felt like maybe a half a second before she was taken away from me. And I mean, I missed her so much. I wanted to see her so badly, but I was still feeling the effects from the magnesium. I was still really delirious and out of it, but I powered through because I needed to be with her and spend time with her. I don't really remember a lot of it, which really makes me sad and breaks my heart when I think about that. I feel like the magnesium just definitely took away a lot of the experiences.
So while the magnesium was like awful, we know that it was helpful for, you know, having a safe delivery and keeping my wife safe and healthy. So while it was unfortunate, you know, you don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So then we got word from the NICU that our baby's blood sugar was low and it wasn't stabilized, so that before she could be discharged from the NICU, she needed to pass 3 blood sugar tests, and they took that every 3 hours. So essentially it was like a 9-hour period that she would have to have stable blood sugar, and if she failed the test, they had to restart the 3. So she ended up spending 2 nights in the NICU, which was rough. You know, we can only go see her one at a time. We just wanted to be together as a family, and we like couldn't have those moments yet. And you know, Ilana was in a lot of pain at that point. We're just trying to like, you know, make it through, and we're just looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. But like, she kept having to restart these blood sugar tests. But finally, you know, after 2 nights in the NICU, the last night that we were in the hospital, she was finally all clear to come be with us. So after, it was like 2 or 3 days, 2 days at that point that, you know, we hadn't been together as a family, and we had our last night in the hospital all together, which was it was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. You know, it was just incredible. But, and then the next day we were able to finally come home and not wear a face mask, you know, and just kind of come back and just try to like settle in and, you know, start the, you know, postpartum recovery period and begin our beautiful life with our beautiful little baby girl as our cute little family. So she was a champ through the whole thing, and it was a difficult journey, but just seeing that little baby makes everything worth it.
So even though the labor and delivery was not at all what I was planning in my mind or expecting, I was not expecting to develop preeclampsia while I was overdue. I was not expecting to be on a magnesium drip for what felt like forever and to get so sick where I threw up on the operating table. I mean, it made me so sick. It also made me like lose my memory, where I just feel like I can't like remember a lot of things. Like I ask questions still where I'm trying to like piece together like pieces of our labor and delivery. So even though I wasn't expecting that, I wasn't expecting a C-section, even though it wasn't what I envisioned, if you ask me the best moment of my life, it was meeting our daughter. Or if you ask me the best day of my life, it was actually like the day that she was born, the day that I delivered. Even though I was so sick and I was in so much pain from the C-section, it was still the best day of my life. She changed our world. She really did.
The love is, you never felt like this kind of love before, so I'm just really happy and excited to see what she grows up to be, even though I want her to stay little forever. But, you know,
she's almost 3 months old. I can't believe it.
She's doing really well, so.
Yeah. And that is our journey to parenthood and our labor and delivery story, the Cliff Notes version. And thank you so much.